If you weren't tattooing, what do you think you'd be doing?
Dead.
You think you'd be dead?
No.
What's up, guys? My name's Hogan Davidson.
And I'm Dylan Phipps.
And welcome to Covered in Ink, where we are all about the life and times of tattooers. We don't care about gear, we don't care about technique, it's all about stories.
Today on the show, we have one of my good friends, Devin Burnett, out of Asheville, North Carolina at Empire Tattoo. He's pretty much amazing at everything, but especially some rad cat heads.
Absolutely. If you like the video, make sure to like, absolutely subscribe to your channel. We've got some great artists coming this year. And let us know in the comments who you want to see next.
Thanks, guys.
Devin Burnett, 28 years old. I've been tattooing for 7 years, and I work here at Empire Tattoo. I've been here for 3 years now. I mean, I've done some bad tattoos, and I've gotten some bad tattoos.
Worst of the worst.
I think my first tattoo I ever did was my worst.
What was it?
The first tattoo I ever did, aside from like stick and pokes, was D's nuts. In like pike lettering, which is like the Sailor Jerry looking traditional lettering, on my buddy Chris's thigh. And the guy that was my mentor was like playing Call of Duty or one of those video games. Like he had a TV in his room and I was tattooing in his room. And it was just the opening title music from this video game just on repeat, because he wasn't actually playing it. It was just on. And it was like, dun, 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 and just like really dramatic while I'm trying to like do my first tattoo, and I'm like, oh fuck. And like every line is like, like. The worst tattoo I have is probably the Shamu bracelet.
Shamu
I have like,
bracelet?
yeah, I have like a killer whale, and then it becomes like a tribal bracelet. I was like, when I was 16, I was like very into like minimalist art, and I was like, yeah, that's all I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get Star Wars tattoos and minimalist art.
So first, what is the weird niche thing that you're into?
I guess Godzilla stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what gave it away.
Yeah. There's not a lot in here or anything. And my back's not a full Godzilla Japanese back piece, so.
All right, what's your guilty pleasure?
Godzilla.
Just Godzilla for both?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you weren't tattooing, what do you think you'd be doing?
Dead.
You think you'd be dead?
No. I'd probably just be playing music still. Having kids definitely propelled me to tattoo a lot more serious. So maybe if I had never had a kid, I would have kept trying to do both, because I was trying to play music and tattoo in the beginning, and I kind of had to choose one or the other. So in my mind, that's what I would be doing, but who knows? It just came down to something that attracted me more. Like, I always enjoyed playing music, but tattooing was this like really powerful thing that I was like drawn to from a very early age, and I don't know, it was more exciting than playing music. I had a good childhood. Pretty conservative. I don't know, my parents were always like super supportive of me drawing. Like, I always remember drawing from a really young age, and I was always like the artsy kid. And my dad traveled a lot for work, and when you're younger, you don't really understand things like that. So you're like, I grew up kind of resenting my dad, and now I like totally understand that it wasn't like a not wanting to be there thing, which is kind of weird now because I don't want my kids to feel that way because I work a lot. So hopefully with hindsight, my kids will look at me the way I look at my dad now, because we did not get along for a while, and now he's like one of my best friends, which is cool.
You said having a kid like it made you kind of have to take it more seriously.
Yeah.
Did it affect your like artwork in general in any way?
Oh yeah. I think it definitely, it changes your whole life. So when I was like first starting, everything was, I don't know, I still have fun drawing, but there was definitely just like no responsibility means like you can doodle whatever and it can be like really dumb and it doesn't matter. And then as soon as I knew I was gonna have a kid, I was like, I have to get good at this. Like I have to like really try. And so I don't know, I pushed myself pretty hard from the get-go.
How did meeting your wife just change your life in general?
Yeah, she's the one that actually told me I should pursue tattooing.
Really?
Yeah, so I like almost feel like I owe it to her to like make it successful. I was on the fence about it and knew I wanted to do it, but didn't know how to like go about it. And she was the one that was like, just put your drawings together and like take it up to a shop. And it's like, that's a good idea. Yeah. And you know, she's just always been super supportive. Like, I mean, I know I wouldn't have made it this far without her. I think when things are good between us, I feel like my stuff is like a little more cartoony looking. And then when like, if we're in a bad spot, like my drawings automatically are like a little darker. And it's like, I don't know how to shut that off. It's like, it seems to correlate. Oh shit, I forgot they're there. I was definitely the emo kid. For 9th grade and half of 10th grade, I went to Dorman, which is like it was a pretty redneck school at the time. Like they had Farmer's Day and stuff, and it was like, just very southern, which is fine, but it was like me and 3 other kids that were like skater kids wore tight pants, and no one else in the whole school did, and I had like really long hair in high school. So I got bullied a good bit and like found solace in like My Chemical Romance, and like that was like a huge thing for me, is like finding music like that. Because my parents didn't listen to stuff like that, and knowing like I was an older brother, so I didn't have anybody like passing down stuff to me. It was like stuff I was finding. Like I said, I didn't ever like party really, so it was just playing music. And like I had a handful of like girlfriends through high school that, you know, when you're an emo kid, you just write sad songs about your girlfriends, and like that was what I did. And I drew a lot. And in high school, I drew a lot of like photorealism and like architecture, and like I was really heavy into that stuff. And I didn't start drawing like tattoo flash until I was already apprenticing. Like my portfolio that I took in to get an apprenticeship was realism stuff. And none of it was like amazing, but it was like passable. Like I remember doing this like portrait of my granddad like sitting on a bench feeding pigeons. And everyone has always been like, that's the most amazing thing you've ever done. It's like, I hate that thing. But yeah, it's cool. It's interesting to like come from that kind of background, and now I draw like cat heads all day. It's like,
Cat heads rule.
They're more fun. Yeah, I would much rather tattoo a panther than a portrait.
If you were a stripper, what would be your name and what's your signature song?
Damn, that's a good one. I think my name would be Snot Pockets.
Snot Pockets?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think my signature song, I don't want it to be an emo song. I like those songs. I want it to be something weird. I think it would just be Swing Low, Sweet Chariot.
Swing. You just tearing it up on a pole with sweet.
No, I would do it very slow. I'm seductive.
Subtle.
But I want it to like really mess people up. Like I want them to be very confused.
He's
Yeah.
for gas.
I'm not going for laughs. I'm going for gas.
Bachelorette party just in tears.
Yeah, just confused. Everyone's calling 911. I don't know. Most of my life has been pretty good. I think I had a really hard time in middle school and high school. Like, it's one of those things where in hindsight, I'm like, I had it pretty easy. But when you're going through it, it's like you don't realize that you have it good. You think the world is terrible and like, so being bullied and stuff and just like relationship problems and not understanding how to deal with any of that on top of like being clinically depressed and not really knowing where that comes from and that sucked.
Now, how does that contrast with the best moment in your life?
I don't know, my kids being born has always been like a very high point. I have 3 little boys, so like that's, if I had to pick a time where I felt like almost every emotion imaginable, but in like a good way, it'd be like when my kids are born. My wife and I got married in a courthouse, like didn't have like a crazy wedding or anything, and that's still like a really fond memory of mine and like definitely a high point. Instagram was just taking off when I started tattooing, so I've always had one since I started pretty much. And I feel like it was so much different then. And I feel like I had some sort of following and I didn't really understand why, because I was, just starting out. So I was like, I don't know why people like this stuff. And then it became about like, I would draw panther heads a lot just because I really enjoyed drawing them. People just started like asking for more cat heads, and then those evolved into like, and like you said, I've always liked Ed Hardy, and he's a huge influence, and he's the one that started the rose morphs. And I was like, yeah, I want to do those. Those are fun. And I did a couple of those, and then those started like getting more people coming in and being like, I want something like that. Like they'd show me my Instagram and be like, I want something like that. And it's like, that evolved into me doing like just cat heads and rose morphs, and like I don't know if I could pinpoint one exact tattoo.
It was more of a slow climb.
Yeah, it was definitely just like here's the snowball and now it's really going.
And now you get to do more cat heads.
Yeah, I get to do them all the time. It's cool. I like tattoos. I don't know, it's just something, if you get down to like the root of it, I think initially there was a lot of like, from being bullied and being an emo kid, it's like there's a lot of like self-worth and like self-image issues where you're like, if I could get that look, people would think I'm cool and like people will stop fucking with me. So it's like, it really did come from that initially, I think. But then I did fall in love with tattoos, and getting tattooed to me is like collecting cards. Like, I just always enjoyed like, I don't know, the thrill of the hunt a little bit, and it's a little different, but like finding artists that I really look up to and really like their work, and then like traveling to get tattooed by them is like one of the most fun things about tattooing for me. And I'm running out of room now, but it's still fun to be like, yeah, I got a spot like on my leg like that big, and you can do whatever you want. I just want to get tattooed by you, and it's fun. And I think that's why I'm covered in ink now.